Alright guys, are you ready for another haul video? Yes, I've got one for you here today. I just got back from Europe and I was buying a lot of fragrances on my travels. I was traveling from one country, one city to another. And so I didn't want to buy too much, but I've got around 30 fragrances that I bought here. These are all fragrances that I purchased on my travels, whether I was in Italy, Austria, Germany, UK, France. There's a lot of fragrances here. New ones, classics. All of them should be either unisex. No, there's one or two feminine fragrances here, but a variety of fragrances. But I know you love watching haul videos, so I've got one for you. Stick around and you'll find out what I bought. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking to you about my fragrance haul, my European fragrance haul. I've got about 30 fragrances here. There's a bonus section with some fragrances as well. I left those to the bonus section because I shot a video of those 3 cheapies. But I've got cheapies here, designers, niche fragrances, you name it. There's a ton of fragrances. And let me know as you're watching this video which fragrances you want to see reviews on. A couple of the fragrances I did review and I've already aired those reviews, and I'll let you know. You can go catch more extensive videos about each of the fragrances. So let's dig into the box. Got the first fragrance here is from a New York City brand, I think, but I knew about the brand and I don't know too much about this brand. And I was at a store in Germany. It was on clearance, or actually it was on discount. As you can see, it's 30% off, it said. But you know, they had testers out there and I smelled them and I wanted to buy a few of them, but I was being very conservative not to overbuy because this was just before Paris Perfume Week and also just before I was going to London. So this is Nomenclature and it's Palmetto, as you can see right here. It does say New York right here. And so, are you guys familiar with this house? Let me know. Oops. I'm a sucker for deals, so I do like deals. I said, why are you guys discounting these? The lady told me that they're making room for new fragrances as they've run out of room. So there was a ton of stuff on a table at, I think most of them were 30% off. So here is Palmetto from Nomenclature. Let me know if you're familiar with this. Like I said, I smelled this and I really loved it. And this was like the one I wanted to buy, but there was one more that I wanted, but I didn't overbuy. So this is Sichuan pepper, Angelica, musk, Galbanum, Ambergris, Jasmine, figs, and lemons. So it is on the green side. It's powdery. It's musky. It's a bit vegetal. The Angelica note creates that, but it's so good, guys. Really, really great. And I hadn't ever smelled the fragrances of this house, so it's really good. If you like green, musky, powdery fragrances, you're definitely gonna really enjoy that one. I really like it. That's why I bought it, because it smelled so good. But yeah, do let me know if you're familiar with this house. Add a comment below. So next, we have this one I've been anticipating. Boss Bottled. It's Bold Citrus. So I bought this one at the airport, actually. Where did I buy it? Which airport? It was in Paris, actually, coming back here. And this one's not created by the duo of Annick Menardo and Suzy Laheli. Though they are at Simrise, this is created by 2 perfumers from Firmenich. It's Honorine Blanc and Sophie Labbe. There it is. I felt like it was a decent freshie for a designer. Nothing like the original Boss Bottled. I think it's just a decent flanker to have here and speak about. And it's Bergamot, lemons, geranium, Elemi resin, vetiver, and patchouli. And I just did that video on Elemi resin. I can totally see this fitting in there. The Elemi is giving it a bit of a resinous, smoky vibe with a lot of lemony edge. And it's a citrus fragrance, so it kind of amplifies and giving the citrus a bit of a resiny edge. So lemons, bergamot, the Elemi resin all working together wonderfully with woods and earthy notes in the dry down, and then of course the geranium. I think it's pleasant. I think it'll be perfect for the upcoming summer weather. And if you want to stick to the designers, maybe check that out. I do see it selling here in the States already. And so I think you can find it at Macy's now. I think Macy's is having a 15% off sale as of the shooting of this video. All right, next up, going to the house of Hermes. It's the latest Terre de Hermes flanker. This is EDP Intense, Eau de Parfum Intense, created by Christine Nagel. Remember, the original was created by Jean-Claude Elena when he was the in-house perfumer. And so Christine Nagel is working with the formula and changing it around. So this is now, how many flankers? Because they've discontinued one. Eau Très Fresh is the one that got discontinued. I think there were some ingredients in there. And so there's been like 5 or 6 different flankers for this series. And this is the Eau de Parfum Intense. And they have added coffee to the notes. And Hermes doesn't really reveal all the notes. Basically, they have mentioned on their website, fiery bergamot, burning wood, intense lava stone. So it's a bit minerally, woody, fiery, citrusy, fresh, deep. When I smelled this, I did see that it was darker and smokier, but eventually it became like the original DNA, not too distant from it, but when you first smell it, there's this really intense smoky experience there. Also, that they mentioned coffee, but the Hermes website didn't mention it. So there's a bit of like, almost like you've left your coffee in a coffee pot, like burning, like getting really intense, and it has this kind of a burned taste to it. It's kind of giving me that kind of a vibe. So I'm curious to get my, nose on it further as I'm wearing it and see how I experience it, and then I will do a overview of the entire line from the Terre de Hermes series of fragrances and give you my thoughts on how it compares to the other fragrances. Alright, up next we've got Givenchy's Gentleman Society EDP Eau de Parfum Ambre. So this is the amber take. Now I skipped the previous version. I had the first one. I wasn't too impressed with it, but I smelled this one and I really enjoyed it. I felt like they did a great job with this flanker. So maybe I should circle back to the previous version. I think it was the EDP Intense before this. Now it's the EDP Amber. If you've gotten your nose on these fragrances so far, let me know. This one was actually quite good. I like amber fragrances, and as far as the designer goes, how they do in amber, they did a pretty good job on this. It's created by Karine Dubreuil-Sereni. I believe she works over at Takasago, and this is featuring notes of tobacco, vanilla, amber, narcissus, leather, Peru balsam, and vetiver. And the narcissus is key in this series of fragrances, in case you aren't not familiar with it. Same thing with the H24 series from Hermes. The narcissus is key for that series. So they're trying to get some interest with the narcissus flower. But here we have the original taken into an amber direction. It's quite smoky and but also resinous, vanillic. There's a light soapy edge here as well, coming probably from the narcissus floral note. But overall, I think it's a really solid job. Totally different than the previous series of Gentleman fragrances. This is Gentleman Society series. This is the 3rd fragrance in the collection, and I think this will be great to test out and wear and perhaps review as well. If you've sampled this one, let me know. Add a comment below so I can find out. So while in London, I was visiting a few of the stores, the department stores. There's Harrods, of course. I love to go to Harrods and discover what they have. And then there's also Selfridges. I also went to Harvey Nichols this time. But I mostly spent time in the clothing section. But of course, Selfridges and Harrods has great fragrances. And at Selfridges, I noticed that they had just launched the MEMO Paris leather fragrance. And I was told it only comes in a 30 ml. It's quite pricey. And also I was told it's limited edition. They only have 2 bottles. I smelled it and I really loved it. And so I ended up buying this one because I felt like, they've got a ton of leather fragrances. Do I need another leather? But it smelled really, really great. I was also told that you can use it to boost up the other leather fragrances, but you can wear it on its own. It's super luxurious, super intense because it's an extrait de parfum. And again, 30 ml only is the size, and they only had 2 bottles. Maybe she was lying to me, I don't know, but I didn't want to miss out, so I have MEMO Paris leather. Remember, all of them are like, there's the African leather, there's the Italian leather, there's the Irish leather, French leather. This one's just called Leather, and it only comes in at 30 ml. I don't know. Maybe she was pulling my leg, but this is the bottle size. I mean, the box where the bottle comes in, and here is what the bottle looks like. It's a tiny little bottle, and for a leather fragrance, I felt it was really, really great. I enjoyed it, and it's much smaller than their typical, but it is pretty potent. You know, it had a heft to it, and a little goes a long way. I'm gonna spray a few sprays. Let me know if you've got your nose on this. It's quite animalic, but does smell like the animal, but more like a smoky take on the charred leather. And there's ambery touches here as well, but the notes breakdown is leather, iris, labdanum, patchouli, vetiver, musk. It's quite nice, and it does have the DNA of their other leather fragrances. So whoever created this, I didn't find out. Is it Aliénor Massenet who's done a lot of their fragrances? I can't remember, but this is really, really solid leather fragrance. I'm glad to have it. I hope she was not lying to me because, you know, I hate it when I'm being lied to just to make a sale kind of a thing. But the next fragrance I already reviewed. This is Stronger With You Parfum from Armani. What a disappointment that is. I'm not going to open it up, but you can go catch my video. It's created by Cécile Matin. It's pink pepper, mandarin, lavender, sage, leathery vanilla, chestnut accord. It's a bummer. I wanted something heftier. It just has a very thin quality on me, and then also it's not like wow fragrance. Other brands give you parfums and they really go all out and give you a parfum. This one is acting very thin. So if you want to find out more about it, go catch the video I did. Just search Armani Stronger With You Parfum on the channel and you'll find the video and you can watch that. But let me know if you're happy with this fragrance or if you're disappointed just like I am. Same thing with this next fragrance. I did a full review of it. It's Mugler's Angel Stellar. And also I should say, since putting up that video, I knew that there might be a men's stellar coming, but since I put it up, I found out that there is an Amen Stellar coming. It does have the pistachio note in it as well. But going back to this is super delicious, guys. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, get your nose on it. It's super fantastic. It's bergamot, pistachio, patchouli. Watch my video because I go into detail. I also tell you what it smells like. It reminds me of the original Angel. And it's nice creamy pistachio, giving me a vibe of a few other pistachio fragrances that I'm familiar with. It's so, so delicious. If you haven't got your nose on this one, do. And again, go catch my video on it. You'll find out more details on that because, again, it's a really great flanker. I prefer it much more than Phantasm. And so if you like the Mugler Angel DNA and you like pistachios, more like a creamy, buttery take on pistachios, just think of that very luxurious, velvety, smooth pistachio spread that you can buy in Italy, giving me that kind of a vibe with the Mugler Angel DNA. So, so delicious. So I've been slowly building up my collection of Astier de Velat fragrances. I don't know if you guys know this brand. It's a plateware ceramics brand in Paris on the Rue Saint-Honoré. I just actually bought a few things from there, including this fragrance I'm going to tell you about. But if you're ever in Paris, you're on the Rue Saint-Honoré. By the way, the Rue Saint-Honoré is becoming Perfume Row. All the perfume shops are there. So many different ones. Even Matière Première is opening up a shop there. There's BDK, Nichane, you name it. One after another, they're all opening up on the street. But there is this store, Astier de Velat, full of ceramics, the most expensive but luxurious ceramics, and they have great, great fragrances. This is my third purchase from this house, and it's the latest from the house, Ambre Liquide, created by Dominique Ropion. So I have 2 fragrances now created by Dominique Ropion, and I think I'm going to do a video of the 3 fragrances finally. I like to do my videos of brand overviews in 3s, especially if the brands are very small, and this is not a very hyped or spoken about brand. But Ambre Liquide is a really great fragrance, super yummy. 3 awesome fragrances now. The 2 that I have, 2 out of the 3 are created by Dominique Ropion. One of them I can't remember the perfumer. But Ambre Liquide, this is how the bottle looks. Some of the fragrances are sold at Lucky Scent, by the way. If you're curious to discover these, go check them out there. Not all of them, unfortunately. Of course, the ceramics are probably sold at various kind of concept stores or like antique kind of stores. I bought the most amazing thing that I saw at the Astier de Velat store. It's like a book made out of a ceramic, and the lid comes open. Inside it has these really beautifully hand-drawn cards, you can perfume them. So it's basically like a perfume container. But let's go back to this amazing amber fragrance created by Dominique Ropian. If you've gotten your nose on this or any other Astier de Velat fragrances, do let me know. Add a comment below. So it's very spicy and resinous here. The resins really comes to mind here. There's a lot of them, and there's a slight rosy edge under there. It's covered up with the resins and balsamic notes that are in here. The ambery notes, the resinous notes, really, really wonderful. Very, very, very smoky, but also golden, amber colored. All these come to mind. It's a bit dry, but also a bit syrupy, but there's the idea of the rose hidden under there. Really wonderful. This is Ambre Liquide from the house of Astier de Velat. Let me know if you're familiar with that house. Stay tuned for a video on 3 of their fragrances very soon. I'll do that as soon as possible. So I went to Austria, Vienna, and Salzburg. There were a few great perfume shops in Vienna. I didn't find much in the way of... Well, I did find some perfume shops in Salzburg as well. But at a store called Osmoteca, they were just putting out a fragrance called Eau de Nuit Nocturnal from Pauline Rocha. I guess Pauline Rocha is related to the Rocha family. And this is the latest fragrance created by Jan Vaznier. This is the fragrance right here. It's a kind of vanillic fragrance, and I smelled it and I really enjoyed it, and I ended up buying this and something else I'll tell you about in a minute. This is a fragrance featuring notes of amber max, frangipani, Georgie wood, musk, saffron, suede, tonka, and vanilla absolute. So it's smoky, spicy, musky, woody, and a bit floral. But really gorgeous stuff. You can totally get the kind of musky, kind of molecular notes in here mixed in with the kind of ambery notes. And there's also the idea of a little bit of leather in here as well with the saffron and the suede notes. So all of the notes are working wonderfully together. So this is Eau de Nuit Nocturnal from Pauline Rocha. Let me know if you're familiar with this house. Sold at a store called Osmoteca. Osmoteca, yeah. I'm going to post about that store here in a bit on my Instagram. So if you're following me there, you'll see a post about the store and their sister store as well. But this next one is one that I've been waiting for a while. It's Guerlain's Habit Rouge Spirit. I was able to buy this on the second to the last day out. No, the last day before I left, actually. Yeah, it was the second to the last day. I was waiting for it, and I was stopping at Guerlain stores and asking, and they were like, no, we don't have it yet. Also, it's a bit confusing because they said this is not a limited edition, but a lot of you are telling me it is a limited edition. So the website says limited edition. The associates told me it's not a limited edition. This is in collaboration with the Hennessy cognac brand. So it's a boozy take on Habit Rouge created by Delphine Jelk. This is vanilla, oak, nutmeg, and iris. So I tested this out. I wore it from a sample that they gave me, which I ran out of because it was tiny. And I experienced something very similar to Habit Rouge Parfum. This is a Parfum concentration, by the way. Some of you were telling me it's not, but it's a Parfum concentration according to what it's written under here, on there. And it also says Parfum under the bottle as well. So this is a Parfum concentration, just like the previous flanker, but now we've got slightly boozier take on it, on that idea. And again, since it is a collaboration with Hennessy, so they're making, it's called Spirit after all. So they're making a boozier take on it. And it's quite delicious. For me, it does act a little different, but it's pretty close to the original. But I'm going to have to really wear it and not have other fragrances that I'm testing at the same time to give you a full explanation of what I'm getting. But it's super nice. Super, super nice. You do get a lot more booziness. And I feel like the patchouli is kind of toned down because the previous Parfum edition had a lot of patchouli. I don't get that from this one much. But it's a great flanker. Really lovely. So that's Habit Rouge Spirit from Guerlain. The second fragrance that I bought from Osmoteca is a fragrance from the Austrian brand Wienerblut. And this is called Palais Nizam. So this fragrance somebody had brought to the States here in San Francisco. And somehow I got a sample of it from this person. And I don't even know who it is because I didn't know the person. It was just in the community somewhere. I sampled it and really loved it, and I've been meaning to buy this bottle. I never see this brand anywhere, and I knew I was going to Austria, so this was definitely one of the fragrances I wanted to buy when I went, and luckily the store had it, and here it is. So it's Wiener Blut and it's Palais Nizam. Anybody familiar with this brand? Any of you Austrians, do you enjoy this brand? Let me know. So this fragrance has notes of leather, plums, brandy, saffron, oak, bergamot, labdanum, artemisia. And for me, when I smelled it the first time, like this was like almost 10 years ago when I smelled this fragrance. And it left an impression on me and gave me some scent memories. And I've been wanting a bottle of it since then. And there is something in here that reminds me of something that I've smelled or even worn. And it reminds me of something probably from the late 80s. That I wore and I can't remember what it is, or it could be the amber fragrance that was launched by Karl Lagerfeld way back in the late 80s. So it's reminding me of that a little bit because it's kind of like a bright ambery leather spicy thing. Really wonderful offering. Let me know if you're familiar with Palais Nizam from Wiener Blut. It's a brand that's not really found here in the States much, if at all. I don't know why. But this fragrance is created by Pierre Constantin Guéros. That's how you say his name. Let me know if you're familiar with that perfumer. I actually bought 2 bottles of Rammstein fragrances at really great prices. So the first one is Gasoline. This one's created by Alexander Ilan. I've been collecting fragrances from this house, and I think I'm going to do a whole overview video of the fragrances of this house. These 2 were 15 euros. Can you believe it? That's so cheap. They were clearanced out. I'm going to tell you about the store I bought them from. I was in a city in Germany near a lake called Königssee, and there was a Müller store. Honestly, guys, you're lucky in Germany. This store is one of my favorite stores of all time. The options of perfumes is so massive in this store, the store chain. I go crazy just hanging out there and smelling things because they got fragrances galore here. But this Gasoline is kind of smoky, leathery, definitely has that kind of gasoline vibe. We've got notes of ambercinide, Aurelion, graphite, birch tar, ink, leather, asphalt, burnt match, and fuel. It's not a conventional fragrance, but the price was right, and I couldn't pass up a deal, especially since, you know, I'm a collector of these fragrances. And they go on sales, and people tell me they're always really inexpensive. And they're always cranking out new fragrances as well. And the store had some at regular price, which was around 35 to 45, but if several of them were on discount, and I couldn't, you know, not pick them up. But the second one is called Benzin. Here, it's marked. This one's got the price. It says 25, and then it was down to 15 euros. Benzin is created by Dominique Mulhausen, and here is the bottle. I can't believe the price on these fragrances. This one features notes of smoke notes, leather, frankincense, nutty notes, rum, cognac, gaiac wood, musk, amber, castoreum, and vetiver. Very interesting notes. But again, this one and the previous one, I don't think they're very conventional fragrances. There might be a bit animalic too, especially this one since it has the castoreum. It's quite leathery because they used to use castoreum for leather back in the day. But I like this one. It's kind of got this bright booziness with a dark, smoky, leathery, animalic side. Really fun fragrances. Totally worth having. So we've got Gasoline and Benzin. Benzene? Don't they both mean the same thing? Okay, so in Austria, one of the things I really wanted to do was go to the Königssee store and buy a brand new bottle of Königssee 10 Golden Edition, and also buy one of their other fragrances. And I also bought a tiny little bottle because I have a big collection of mini bottles. So I ended up buying a tiny bottle of Golden Edition as well. But I have never mentioned that I have a collection of mini bottles. And that one is for the mini bottle collection. And so if you haven't heard me talk about Canise 10 Golden Edition, it's a great leather fragrance. And Canise is a men's kind of a clothing, suits, tailoring shop. And it was nice to go in there and see the clothing, see the store, because it's been there since for a long time. And of course buy a bottle of Canise 10 Golden Edition. Really love this one. It's classic leather fragrance, very masculine, very kind of vintage-esque. I love the way it smells though. And I was at the very bottom of my first one that I bought probably like 11 years ago. And so I just made sure I bought another one and to have it. Because these, you can find these at Lucky Scent, but sometimes they're out of stock. So Canise 10 Golden Edition is created by Vincent Rubert, and it's leather, castoreum, carnation, oak moss, iris, vanilla, cedar, sandalwood, amber, musk, jasmine, geranium, cinnamon, citruses. So they're kind of classic notes. I'm thinking this is either reformulated or just not maturated or macerated, I should say, because it does seem a bit thinner than the one I bought, or maybe the one I have has gotten really aged and older, so it's gotten thicker and denser. But it still smells the same. It just seems a little thinner than before. But that's Canise 10 Golden Edition. Does say toilet water on there. If you're going to Austria and you like vintage fragrances and men's clothing, men's suits and things like that, I'd suggest go to this store if you're in Vienna. And the other fragrance is Canise Sec. They're pretty tight in these boxes. Man, you can't get it out. But let me just do that right there. Caps here. So I'm not familiar with this one as much as the previous one. I know they have the original Canise 10, and I've been a fan of the Golden Edition. The Golden Edition seems a bit more ambery, a bit more brighter than the original Canise 10, but Canise Sec I'm unfamiliar with, but I sampled several of their fragrances. I posted about it on Instagram and ended up with the Golden Edition and Canise Sec. It's citruses, frankincense, lavender, sage, white musk, woods. Seems like a bit of a classic men's cologne-esque fragrance, leaning on the masculine side, and it does have that kind of 70s, 80s men's fragrance smell, which I really like, but I think modern people, current noses are not too much into it. I think you might not like the regular Canise Golden Edition either, but if you're into classic vintage fragrances, you're probably going to enjoy these fragrances. So that was a great pleasure to visit their store. I was like a kid in a candy shop going to this store and buying these two fragrances and the little mini bottle. But this one, since I was visiting Germany, I didn't visit Germany too long. I was just there for 2 days. One in the Lake City, the Königssee, and then one night in Munich. And I bought Marbert Man from the Mueller store and several other cheapies. And I've been wanting a bottle of this brand new because I have one that I bought from a vintage store, but I wanted one from a fresher stock. And this is a redo of a men's classic, I believe. It's not the original Marbert Man. It's just called Marbert Man Classic. Anybody familiar with this, do let me know, especially those of you that live in Germany. I love these kind of classic men's cologne style fragrances, aromatic and spicy and woody and mossy kind of things. Really wonderful. This is Artemisia, lavender, juniper, patchouli, honey, cinnamon, cedar, and amber. Now I've got one of these, but I bought from a vintage store. This one doesn't smell as good as that. So I'm going to have to compare and see. This is the latest. I bought it at the Mueller store. It was there. And it does seem a little thinner, just like the Canise 10. But let me know if you're a fan of Marbert Man. Add a comment below. And there's some other fragrances that I bought from the Mueller store, all like German brands. So while in Munich, I saw a deal on this fragrance. It was like 20 euros. And I'm all a sucker for these classic men's fragrances. This is Gainsborough G-Man. Anybody familiar with this? It was like 20 bucks or something, 20 euros. And even though I know that I didn't have a lot of space, I took this one. This, to me, reminds me a little bit of Van Cleef and Arpels Pour Homme. I don't know why, but it does remind me of it. It's featuring notes of moss, geranium, aldehydes, leather, vetiver, angelica, musk, olibanum, lavender, neroli, and citruses. Let me know if you're familiar with it. And do you get the Van Cleef & Arpels Pour Homme connection? I wouldn't say it's identical, but it gives me that vibe. And the Van Cleef & Arpels Pour Homme has rose in it. This one doesn't have a rosiness, but it does have geranium, and sometimes geranium can trick your nose. But it takes me back to when my dad used to wear fragrances like this, because my dad used to visit Germany quite often, and this is where I bought it. It's Germany, but I don't know what country this is from. It says it's made in Switzerland, but it just says made in Switzerland with some additional information. But really fun fragrance if you like classic men's old school fragrances. Gainsborough G-Man. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then this fragrance was a cheapie from the Mueller store. This is S. Oliver, and it's the original. Let me know if you're familiar with it. It's a fun little cheapie fragrance. The bottle's cute. And this is featuring notes of citron, bergamot, mint, musk, lavender, ambergris, artemisia, cedar, coriander, nutmeg, and galbanum. So this to me smells like 90s or 2000s men's fragrance. I don't know when this came out originally, but that's the kind of vibe it's giving me. It's kind of aromatic, it's kind of spicy, and also a bit ambery in the dry down. Spit green, and you know, just a lot of aromatics here and some musk as well. I think it's pleasant men's fragrance. If you don't want to wear very expensive fragrances and you want to, you know, smell pleasant, I think that will satisfy. It's got a cute little bottle to S. Oliver Original Man. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And then two fragrances from Otto Kern. Otto Kern Signature Man and Signature Extreme is the other one. Let's smell Signature Man first. I think this is a German brand. Let me know. Correct me. That's it right there. So Otto Kern Signature Man features notes of tonka, cardamom, lavender, bergamot, artemisia, orange blossom, cinnamon, cedar, and musk. A lot of lavender in this one. Kind of gives me the vibe of 90s fragrances once again. I think like a fougere like, but more modern, a bit warmer take on a fougere, like an amber fougere. But it's pleasant, it's fresh, it's got some heft to it, but it's not totally like a, you know, warm and amber kind of. Just a pleasant, nice smelling lavender fougere type men's fragrance, Otto Kern Signature. And then we've got Otto Kern Signature Extreme. This is the one that I really thought smelled great. It comes in a smaller bottle, but I tested this one out at that Mueller store and I really liked it. I thought, let's get a bottle of both of these. Can talk about it in some videos. So this one has notes of amber, nutmeg, lavender, violet leaves, sage, pineapple, orange blossom, labdanum, and cedar. Let me know if you've worn these, what your thoughts are on them. They're cheapies, not like super luxurious. This one smells so good, by the way, really, really great. The previous one was a bit nondescript, more easier to wear. This one has some substance to it, but smells really, really great. It's super sexy. I wish I bought a larger bottle of this. I really love it. I'm gonna put this one to use. It's a cheapie. It was like 16 euros for this. Really, really inexpensive. And going back to that store, those of you that are in Germany, that store is one of my favorites. I remember the first time I went to one of those stores in Stuttgart, like 12, 15 years ago. And I was like in perfume heaven. And at that time, I wasn't digging into a lot of niche fragrances. It was mostly, you know, designers and, you know, small off-brands. And I was in heaven. Like, there's rows and rows and rows of perfumes in that store. And even though they're mostly designers and, you know, mass market fragrances, there's just so much variety. I'm surprised, and I'm so jealous of you guys that live in Germany to have this store, because it's an awesome store, a little drugstore like store that has such great variety of fragrances. Even the Rammstein fragrances were sold there, so it's interesting. They're in small cities and big cities. The big cities obviously have bigger departments, but the small city, the one I first went to on this last trip, Wow. Tiny little store in a tiny little city and a perfume department that rivals anything that we have here in our cities in the USA. So I'm a sucker for deals. I found another deal, this time in the city of Salzburg. Actually, there was a perfume shop really close to my hotel, and in that perfume shop, I discovered a lot of brands I'm familiar with, but they also had a little clearance section. And I asked the person there, and he said they've lost their distribution or something, and they're no longer selling the brands. And they had Santa Maria Novella. There are several fragrances, including Tobacco Toscano, which is one of my favorites, at 30% off. Since I had never bought a Papanax, I bought a Papanax. And what do you guys think of a video on a Papanax fragrances, by the way? I'll put one together. But the only thing is I did not get a sprayer for this. And the bottles now come with the sprayers on top. That's going to be a challenge. But I think I might have a sprayer that has not been used. Or I'm going to have to figure out another way to find a sprayer for this. But it's a resinous ambery fragrance with a Papanax, resinous notes, musk, and patchouli. I can't smell it right now, but that was at 30% off. I felt like it was a good deal. And this one, I have several bottles of the original Nivea fragrance. I never got my nose on the Sun version. And so even though I paid a little too much where I bought this, because I bought it in Austria. I think in Germany it was cheaper. But I'm glad to have one bottle. It's solar notes, powdery notes, floral notes, green notes. It shouldn't have been like 25 euros. I think you could have gotten this for around 15 euros, but I paid that much for it. It's a cheapie. It's a fun little fragrance, capitalizing on the Nivea, smell of their lotions and facial creams and things like that. Very powdery, but this one has a very sunny side about it with the solar notes. There's a lot of flowers in here as well, so it's very clean. Let me know if you're familiar with the original Nivea and this next one, the second one, called Nivea Sun. So when I got to Munich, I knew I wanted to go to this store, and I had just heard about their fragrances. In fact, I aired a video on the fragrances, the anticipation of them. Jill Sander launched a luxury collection of fragrances, so when I got to Munich, I made sure I walked all the way to the Jill Sander store and smell all of the fragrances. In fact, I posted about it on Instagram, and I mentioned I bought one of them, and I ended up buying Leaf, but I also want to get Miel. Very luxurious fragrances. Jill Sander's under Coty, by the way, and when I was at Paris Perfume Week also, Coty had a room, and they had the Jill Sander fragrances there along with the Enfant Coty fragrances, and then another brand that I'm going to dig into, Chloe's fragrances, their luxury fragrances. So these were there, but I had already bought my bottle of Leaf, and this is how the bottles are. So it comes with this nice cover, like a lid. It's a bit plasticky. Of course, it's glass, but it's totally Jill Sander, I think, the way the bottle. Because I first wore my first Jill Sander around 2000. Really loved that kind of like lopsided bottle. I wish there were more Jill Sander fragrances these days, but I think the brand's been going through some challenges. But I think they're kind of back now, and this collection will probably put them more on the map. I think the collection was pretty solid. My three fragrances were Leaf, Miel, and also the coffee, I believe. It's the coffee? Yeah, the coffee with iris. Really liked those three, but I think the collection was pretty solid. This to me has a tomato leaf-like effect, but it's key lime, corn mint, cardamom, really green, really fresh, spicy, invigorating, just kind of... there are some greens that sometimes I like to use in salads, like pea shoots and things like that. You can eat them, but those vines and things, there's a certain smell about them. To me, it gives me those kind of vibes here. Wonderful offering. I really love this, the way the bottles are designed. It almost looks like a nipple, though. What do you guys think? Anyway, that's the Leaf from Jill Sander. Again, also my second favorite was, well, actually, I think it's pretty equal. I like Leaf, Miel, and Coffee. Coffee spelled with an A. But I'm glad I bought this. I dragged it all the way from Munich to London to Paris. Then I was in New Jersey, and then here. I had several suitcases, so it was a bit challenging carrying all this stuff. But I think I want to build my collection again. I want to get a couple more of the Jill Sander fragrances. So that's Leaf. And in Paris, I wanted to buy another Serge Lutens fragrance. I bought Serge Noir. So this is created by Christopher Sheldrake, who I got to meet at Paris Perfume Week. And then also he's worked on 5 fragrances for a new brand called Spoturno, which had a pop-up store. I shot a video there with him and the founder of the brand. It was an impromptu video. I just basically asked him if they're interested because I had my camera equipment. It was dark, but stay tuned for that video. But I've been wanting to get a bottle of Serge Noir, especially after I tested it out, and I was like, I'm getting me a bottle. It smells super fantastic, but it is full of cumin, guys. Overly intense. And I remember smelling this in a previous bottle at Barney's here. I don't recall the cumin being so strong, but it's quite on skin. It just blooms like there's no tomorrow. But it says there's charred woods, frankincense, spices, earthy notes, and amber. Oh my god, it's good. I don't know. Serge Lutens fragrances are one of my early niche introductions. And when I first sampled a lot of their fragrances, because I bought a bottle of Féminité Dubois for my mom, they gave me like a ton of samples. I was so impressed. And this was way before I started doing any videos. Really impressed. But this Serge Noir, oh my god. If you like cumin, you must get your nose on this. This is amazing. So that's Serge Noir. And the last fragrance that I'm dropping things. The last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about, if I can find it. Did I drop it? So before I get to the last fragrance, I forgot to mention this one, even though I had it on the list. I did find a discounted section in another store in Paris. And since I'm a big fan of this Mugler fragrance, Angel Muse. And this is not the bottle, it's the refill, but I have the bottle already. And marked at 40% off, I couldn't resist. This is a Canton Biche creation, and definitely one of the best flankers. And so glad to have found a refill of it, because the bottle that you got when you bought the Angel Muse was a refillable bottle. So that's great. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about, Bois en Poudre from the house of 100 Bon. Are you guys familiar with this house? Their fragrances are a bit on the less expensive side, on the budget side. Although they just launched a collection of more intense fragrances in dark bottles. But this one was so cozy and musky and woody and powdery. Created by Karine Vinchon Spinner. It's sandalwood, cedar, orange blossom, patchouli, musk, jasmine, almonds, and bergamot. If you like a powdery, woody fragrance, this should satisfy it. It's also pretty nicely priced. It's not going to break the bank. Just a really simplistic, powdery, woody fragrance that has this kind of a calming and cozy, relaxed, smooth experience. Anyway, that's the last fragrance. I know this video is longer than normal. It's a big haul, and I got into a lot of the fragrances a bit too extensively. But some of you enjoy longer videos than others, and if it's too long for you, I have it timestamped. You can just jump around. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. What do you think about them? Add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. So a long time ago, I bought some H&M fragrances, and I hadn't got my nose on the newest launch of H&M fragrances. While I was in one of the cities, I ended up buying 3 H&M fragrances really cheaply. As you can see, I have a video shot. Hopefully it'll air before this or just after this. So we've got Fearless Optimist, Chic Socialite, and Creative Visionary. So stay tuned for that video, and if it's live, I'll link it here. You can go catch that video. But if you've gotten your nose on these fragrances, do let us know. Add a comment below. They're 30 ml for like around 10 euros. So they're pretty cheap fragrances, but I wanted to see what they're all about, and you'll find out more in the video. But lastly, I forgot to mention this in the main video. I've been wanting to get bottles of the Rabanne collection, the private collection. I haven't been able to yet. I did buy a discovery set from Selfridges, and I'll eventually do a video on these very soon. If it's not aired yet, stay tuned for that video as well. Again, thanks so much for watching today's video. See you guys later. Bye-bye.